after I left. I've earned a couple, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know, I saw a how it's made video on that, and I guess I thought they were chocolate, it was actually caramel with like chocolate mixed in or something.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess, when you think about the flavor, I guess that makes sense.
I probably don't want to see how things are made.
Alright, so we're gonna start, is that
Yes.
right? Like a-
Who wants to chair the meeting in Joe's place until he gets here?
I'll take notes.
Give it that.
All right.
You're next, right?
Right, go ahead.
All right, wait, let me go ahead.
No. So Travis is gonna open it?
No, it's all you, it's all you.
So it's 5:04 PM and July 13th, and we'll open the meeting for the City of Kingston Recreation Commission meeting. First on the agenda is the June Commission meeting minutes. People,
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I'm making, I mean, we have one, right?
yes,
All right, yeah, I'll make a motion to accept.
and then I said,
all in favor? Aye. Opposition? None. So moved unanimously. We have some new business.
I think we should probably, let's do
This is for-
Yeah, sorry, I should say that earlier.
There you are. So we'll go to number 3 on the agenda, the action discussion items. I'm sorry, Joe. And,
So thanks for having me. I wanted to just give you all an update on the work that I've been working on. So you can ask any questions you might have, but basically have an update on the work that goes through my portion of the world. Just gonna pass this around. This is a synopsis that I will go through. I'm gonna focus on primarily the projects that I'm working on that are parks related, but I also will just touch on the other projects as well, because I do work with Parks Department and they are relevant, so. Basically what this spreadsheet is just showing you the project itself, the name of it, where the funding source is, what phase it is in, the current status, and then when I expect the completion to be. So these are all generally grant funded projects. So the first is the kayak dock. So this is a replacement of what was a dilapidated kayak dock under the Ward Street Bridge. It has been removed, and we have funding through the Department of Environmental Conservation to replace it with an ADA compliant dock, which in and of itself is complicated because it is a tidal waterfront, which means that some of the time it's ADA compliant and some of the time it's not if we just put in a floating dock. So we've actually been working, I worked with Jack Schoonmaker in the office to help to design a system that would be ADA compliant all the time. And we've gone through some pre-permitting, but I haven't purchased it yet because I can't install it until the Ward Street Bridge is complete. And as of yesterday or so, I don't know if this is public, but it seems as though it's not going to be complete until at least April of 2024. So I can't even, there's no point in me buying a dock and having it just sit around. And so I will have to go out to bid for that. I'll take the design and go out to bid and finalize any permitting, and then that will be installed as the public kayak dock, or more than kayak, just public non-motorized boat launch theory as soon as the Ward Street Bridge is complete. And we will take that out seasonally as well, I believe. Actually, I don't know. I have to look back at the design, but either way, so that's that project. Hutton Park Pavilion is an ARPA project. So we have gone back and forth on this one as to what the actual integrity of the pavilion is. We've had multiple engineers and multiple engineering assistants look at it. We finally landed on, and we looked at anything from like fix a few things to tear it down, start over. And there was general consensus that we didn't want to tear it all the way fully down, that we would replace as needed in kind. So we went out to bid this year. I received multiple bids on that, to that response. And I am now developing a contract with the apparent low bidder The budget was $125,000 for that project, and the bid came in at $57K. So substantially lower. Even if there are change orders that happen to come up over the course of it, we should be golden. The stipulations and so I will say that none of the bidders were local. This particular bidder is one we haven't worked with before out of Suffern, and it is a minority business. So we're happy to be working with a minority business. Their stipulations are they can't start till after summer camp ends. So their contract starts August 14th and it needs to be completed by December. There were other parts of the scope that we considered, like, should we be building a road in from Stuyvesant, Sylvester? Like, what else should we be doing? Because it is one of our pavilions where you cannot drive to it, but there's precedent in other parks as well. You can't drive to the Lawrence Park Pavilion either. So, or the Rotary Park Pavilion. I mean, there's several that you can't drive to. So, this is not changing access in that way. It is just making the pavilion structure itself secure and safe. So that will be under budget in theory with ARPA, which will leave additional ARPA funds to be moved around. The third project is also ARPA funded, and that is Wi-Fi and cameras in our parks and municipal buildings. So this is a substantial project. It is not a substantial budget. It's only $75,000, and actually right now, the way I have it planned out, it's still substantially under budget. But basically it would be so we did a phase one already, 2 years ago at this point, maybe it was last year.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Okay, and so we did several parks at that time. This will be basically every other facility, with a few exceptions that I'll go through, and then additionally also municipal buildings that are not currently equipped with cameras and Wi-Fi. So this will include Academy Green, the pool, Barnum, Block, the Broadway and Prince intersection, which is the new postage park, wherever we're calling it, Cornell Park, DPW dispatch and admin over on Avenue, Hasbro Park. There's none additional needed at the Hodge Center. There will be presence now at Hutton, the Kingston Point Rail Trail Tunnel, Lauren. Although we already did some at Lauren, we've seen evidence that we need additional that have more coverage. We're not doing any in Peace Park, which is the world's smallest park. We are not doing any in Raquel Knox Park, which is the second world's smallest park. So we will be adding to the Rondout Center, Rotary, TR Gallo, the transfer station, which is DPW's facility out on the boulevard. We will be adding them one at Van Buren facing the playground, nothing at the visitor center because we're trying to divest of that. And then we will be adding them at the Wilbur Avenue DPW complex and a significant amount at the wastewater treatment plant. So the status right now is that I'm working with the IT department and Department of Public Works and Lindsay. It's more complicated than just like, let's put up a camera, particularly if it needs Wi-Fi and needs to work with Spectrum and all these other things. The most recent thing is there's also, there are a few different options for what we can actually install. One is like a general, let me look and see, and if something is like on fire massively or so massively out of control, we can kind of see that that's going on. Another is a zoom in, like look at people's nose hairs type. And then another is this thing called PTZ. So each of those is a stationary, it sees this. Then there's something called a PTZ, which is point, tilt, zoom, which is like something you would see in like a mall that comes down like that and basically has like a 360 view, and you can zoom in, move all around. The stationary ones, the zoom and the 3x zoom and the regular view one record. These don't record unless you're actively recording them. And these you can like move around and see different things, but it's not like keeping track of things over time. So one of the reasons this project has been on hold a little bit is because the IT department purchased one of these PTC things and put it in action, and it is in this parking lot right here. So as you leave today, you'll see one here. And then they asked us, like, they showed us the footage. What do you think about this? Is this enough? So looking at that, then there's been a couple more that have been added on in some coordination with like the Broadway and Grand project, which doesn't even have power to it, so a couple of different nuances. But generally, I have, and I know like the item numbers and everything that I need. What is not clear to me and what I believe I need to do, typically, and with the first round, we kind of just went to the normal vendors that we purchase these from and just purchase them. But this is now a substantial purchase, which will likely be due out to bid. So we'll go out to bid, but then the actual installation can happen in the fall, over the winter, whatever. And so then we will, and not all these locations need Wi-Fi as well, some of them already have Wi-Fi. Ultimately, in the end, the value of this project is it's coming out of ARPA, it's gonna be 75K or less. And basically all of our facilities will have then public Wi-Fi, which is an incredible asset, and cameras as needed. So and my understanding is that we've had several instances where we've had to actually view the footage because of vandalism or.
Just my question is, I like the idea of the one that's suspended.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily record automatically. And if the issues are overnight vandalism or something, do you want to be able to go back and look at the?
Yeah, it's also not zoomed in, so like you could see a lot, but
No detail.
no detail, right? So I don't know the utility of that, if that's gonna be what we need or not. And I personally actually can't speak to how we've used them thus far. I'm sure Lindy could speak to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely, the recording piece of it is essential because, as you said, a lot of the stuff that we have to look at tends to happen overnight or on the weekend. And it has proven useful in a few things, damage to the cameras themselves. We actually got footage of a couple of kids, damaging the cameras at Forsyth, and as they were doing it, got clear footage of their faces hitting the camera. So without that, that would just, it wouldn't be useful, so. But it is hard, with Lauren Park, we've had issues on far side of the park, you can't really see much with the current cameras, you can't zoom in much, and so I think that's why we're just trying to add additional ones to the parks.
Cool.
So I would expect that we would go out to bid this fall, once all the details are finalized. And again, it keeps being a little bit more like, oh, what we're doing, we should add in here and here, and I've been able to entertain that because the costs are not actually that much, especially since we're buying, the economies of scale are there. But at some point, we need to just be like, okay, that's all the things that we're doing, this is the end of this phase, and get it installed. Kingston Point Park Phase 1 and Phase 2. That's two different funding sources. Kingston Point Park Phase 1, design and construction is complete. So for all intents and purposes to the world, it is complete. And that was the soccer field, which is now used all the time. There's a league that is using it at camp every day. I love it. It's the new parking lot that was elevated there. And then we also did with some other funding with the after access and the changing rooms and the walkway thing out to the water. That I just need to physically close it out. It's just some reporting things and I'll get that done by this summer. Kingston Point Park Phase 2 is Department of State funding. This is $750,000. And this is everything south of Delaware Avenue. We thought this was be part of the first phase, but it ended up being much more costly first phase, so we ended up seeking additional funding. What is happening with this funding is it is taking the wetland that was a parking lot and making that an official wetland, taking the parking lot that is still a parking lot, but getting encroached by a wetland and elevating it, and then also making a formal trail, formalizing and making safe the actual trail, the Empire State Trail from Rotary to North Street. This just got slightly more complicated, this particular project, because the city just received a $22 million grant from the Federal Department of Transportation called RAISE. And RAISE is a resiliency and sustainability grant. And one of the 5 components of that is to elevate Delaware Avenue. And to elevate Delaware Avenue, as you might imagine, to elevate any road has challenges, but it also includes, that particular grant also includes formalizing a trail between one and the other, Rotary and North Street, because we had redundancy, we knew that there could be matches here. All that to be said, I have, we went out to bid for this project for the design, so the design has to be separate from the construction bid. We went out to bid and, the same firm that did the engineering for phase one, was awarded for phase two, and that's for Aaron Larios, Stephens Larios, which is great. I have a draft contract in my inbox, but I actually need to modify it because of this raise grant. So that is waiting. He doesn't know this yet. Somehow we need to figure out how this is going to happen. And I also need to figure out if raising the road is going to impact where I put the parking lot and the wetland and all these other things. The problem is the DOS grant has this timeline and the raise grant has this timeline. And it's also $750K and one project manager versus $22 million in cost. So
A little bit of a difference.
so either way, I am in contract development, assuming I can figure that out rapidly. Design in theory will be this winter, we'll go out to bid this winter, and then construction will be in 2024, and it'll be complete by 2024.
Raising Delaware Avenue,
Yes,
which sounds like a massive undertaking, but from where to where? From the end,
From the light to,
from the lake,
from the light to the end.
yeah, right?
We're also
to the
elevating,
bottom of the hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
not that I want to get into raise, but we're also elevating the strand.
Will it use, is it gonna be the part that's being like a swimming?
Yes, not the entire thing, it's,
Yeah.
yes, so it will be like the part by the Maritime Museum, the part by the sewage treatment plant, and the part by, Riverview Baptist Church,
Okay.
because that's the
So
part
that
that
whole
is
section.
underwater all the time.
That section.
Yeah. So that's another whole thing, we're still figuring that out. So that's Kingston Point Park Phase 2. And then the other specific parks project is actually one that is in application right now. Actually, it's going to be submitted by the 28th. This is a resubmission of a consolidated funding application that we applied for last year and were not successful. We did some slight tweaks and we feel like our chances are still high, plus it's necessary that we need to do it. So this is on North Street. There are 2 homes that the city currently owns. They were condemned. They're not occupied. If you're going along North Street, like let's say you're coming from the Strand and you're going along past where Millens was, and you do a little jog past the children's home, then you look at that row of houses and get to a stop sign for West Pierpont or whatever that street is, comes down the hill, I don't know what it is,
I don't know.
gets there. Down in the water practically, there are 2 buildings.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they're
So
invisible.
they look invisible. Those are now our property and we need to demolish them. And so this grant would be to demolish those 2 buildings and make that into parkland. And make a boardwalk out to the water so people could go out and look at it or paddle or whatever. So it would be a small parking lot, like 6 cars, just like right off of that. I mean, if you go there now with a stop sign, and there's like a little weird driveway that does that, it would just be like the same thing. But we'd be taking those houses out and building access. We think it's a good grant. We thought we had a strong application. We did do a debrief with the funder. They said our application was strong, but there's a couple things we could build on. We built on them this year. We're submitting it on the 28th. We'll find out in December. If that doesn't go through, I will be the project manager on that. So those are my parks grants. I don't know how much time you want me to spend on. I
Yeah,
can
go, I mean,
All right.
let me just say that Julie, clearly, as you see, she has a very full plate, and so I asked her to kind of go through all of these, because I think it's important that you all see, what all of our staff do.
This is what you do.
No, I
We
breathe.
had to have a break next.
Sometimes I swim out and walk on my lunch break.
Yeah.
Not this week in the river, by the way.
Yeah, so definitely, I think it's important.
All right, I'll just go through the, so, ARPA, we have funding through, so these are the sustainability work that I'm working on. And for some of these, I have assistance also through Ellie Gartenstein, who works in our office, and also through Casey Keegan-Twomley, who works in our office. And for almost all of these, I also work collaboratively across departments. So I might be working very closely with DPW or engineering or housing or whoever else. This first one, energy efficiency grants for homeowners, is actually in the housing bucket of ARPA, but since it's energy efficiency, it's come to me. We are part of a program called Community Choice Aggregation, which is the 3rd one on here. Community Choice Aggregation is a system by which the municipality takes over the responsibility of providing utilities to the community, so taking away from Central Hudson, we provide the actual energy. And in doing so, we are able to provide fully renewable energy and at a lower cost. And so we've entered into this system, community choice aggregation, with the group called Mid-Hudson Energy Transition. We haven't started the actual implementation of this yet because we need to get permission from the Public Service Commission. But anyway, we are in contract with them. This costs the city nothing. So this is a no budget, CNA on the CCA. As part of that, we have decided to give them, Mid-Hudson Energy Transition, a subcontract to get $250,000 through this first line, the EE grants for homeowners from ARPA, to specifically provide with the $250K money to renters and homeowners to make their homes more energy efficient. No match, no qualification, no nothing. We're gonna focus on the lowest income census tracts first. And they would be handheld through the whole process, whether it's through an incentive, direct cash, doing an audit of their home to see what needs to be done first, all with the lens of also making sure that we are not enhancing their energy burden. So it might be something where we give a new insulation for them, or new heat pumps on their home, or a new, an electric stove or whatever it is, but not doing it unless it saves them money and saves as more environmentally. So they will be as an energy transition, will be awarded that ARPA subrecipient grant. I'm in contract development with them right now, subrecipient contract. And they will be awarding those grants over the course of the next, until 2026. They're still trying to figure out exactly how much they're going to give to each home, if it's going to be like everyone gets $1,000, everyone gets $5,000, or it'll vary based on when the audit comes back. So there's variability, but that is all falling under the CCA.
It's 250.
250K. Bike share is a sore subject, but I'm gonna bring it up. So there was interest by the administration to implement a bike share system. A bike share system is similar to what you would see in New York City with City Bike, where a vendor comes in, they have bikes or scooters, e-bikes or non-e-bikes, or e-scooters or non-e-scooters. They have their equipment here, they have a rental program, you can jump on it, rent it, use it all around town. Myself and Ellie started working on this. $100,000 was set aside through ARPA to implement this program, ideally in 2023. In doing so, it was determined that legislation was needed because right now there's not any legislation that restricts or permits bike share in the city, which basically means any old company could come in and say, boom, here's our stuff. And they could leave their stuff here in a non-docked system. They could just put their things anywhere. And we don't really have boo to say about it. And so we worked with Corp Council, and with Corp Council, we said, okay, well, we should put restrictions on this. And if we're gonna do this, we should be working with them, and they need to have a permit and all these other things. This has spiraled into complications with the Common Council. Complications that got very technical and frankly, in my opinion, out of control. And this particular project was taken off of my lap and put into the lap of the Common Council. They then decided to make an action that I think was destructive to the whole system, which is a legislation that they passed through the laws and rules that would absolutely stall the entire system. Either way, it has now gone back and forth between going to the full council and back to laws and rules and back to full council and back to laws and rules. And I temporarily have been asked to stop working by the mayor. And so that's all to say, I don't know what's going on with it.
All right. Something in the paper there.
Yes, I'm sure there was. CCA, I mentioned already, carbon neutral. So I got a $1.8 million grant, which ends up being a $3.2 million project from NYSERDA to turn City Hall and the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center fully carbon neutral, which means to remove all fossil fuel systems from both buildings. That means everything related to the kitchens, the heating, the cooling, the water, anything related, hey Joe, to fossil fuels would be gone. And in addition to that, would make them more efficient. In other words, don't just take out these things, make them efficient, and make them renewable. And so that means a couple things. One, this building, I already did the windows, which was done with funding that we got from NYSERDA. We already did the lighting, which we got from funding from NYSERDA. But this building doesn't have insulation, it has a terrible HVAC system. So that's fully gonna get overhauled. Our building has no insulation whatsoever, it is like a sieve. And, but we are shifting the systems already with Jack's project in the kitchen. We intentionally added a little cost extra onto Novo to make that kitchen, fossil fuel free. And so at that building, our building, it would involve, fully insulating the building, probably new windows, and switching over our entire HVAC system and our entire heating, cooling, everything.
So the new kitchen is good.
New kitchen is good.
Take that apart.
There's a lot of refrigerator.
And actually, the investment that was made in the kitchen will serve as match for this project as well. In addition, to achieve the other aspects of this, there will be EV charging stations at both City Hall, which already is one, but another one, and one in our building, and geothermal power and solar power additionally at both sites. We can't put solar on this building, so there's gonna be a carport over the parking lot with solar, and our building already has solar, but we're gonna use more, so we're gonna put a carport over our parking lot as well with more solar, and 100 drilled wells in each site for geothermal.
Yeah.
All of this with $3 million, I don't know if it's gonna happen. That being said, I am contracting with NYPA, New York Power Authority, they're gonna manage the whole thing. We are in contract development with them. The first thing will be actually design and modeling to see if what I've just spewed out is actually going to work and how much it's actually gonna cost, then we'll go to contract for construction. All right, so the next is the Clean Energy Community Windows and LED project, which is this building. We got $100,000 from NYSERDA as a gift for all the amazing things that we do with clean energy. I had $20,000 left over on that one after doing the windows and the LED because it came in under budget. So now I am putting an EV charger over at DPW because they have said to me, we can't switch over to EVs if we don't have any kind of charger. So I'm putting a charger over there. That should be done by the end of the year. Community preservation plan is a plan I've been working on for a couple of years. That is the next step after the open space plan, which is how we are actually taking the land that we've designated as open space and how we're going to actually plan out preserving it, which will eventually establish a real estate transfer tax so that when somebody purchases a new home, there will be a percentage of that that will be set aside for community preservation. There needs to be approvals going through Common Council on that. Frankly, we were waiting till after the primary, and so now we are going to be moving that forward. It will need to go to referendum, which means that, and we didn't do it such that it would get on this year's ballot, but next November, the whole community, the city will have to vote on whether to add the real estate transfer tax or not. If it does, we will then have a dedicated pot of money for every single house that is sold for preservation of land. Ulster County Hazard Mitigation Plan really has nothing to do with anything whatsoever, except for the fact that I have somehow default to be the resiliency person, which really means I do a lot with flooding on the waterfront. Ulster County every 5 years updates their hazard mitigation plan, which deals with everything from like trains blowing up to like dams breaking to outbreaks of salmonella to whatever it is. I am serving on this case as just a facilitator and a coordinator of city staff to bring people together in herd counts to say, we really need to move this forward. That is working in collaboration with Ulster County Department of Emergency Management, and that should be closed out by the fall of this year. Kingston Organics is consuming 145% of my time. It has been a 5-year study that we just completed. We decided to move forward with phase 1. Phase 1 is drop-off locations. As of Monday, we launched them. We have 11 community sites, which are locked, secure, registration only, voluntary, free facilities for community members to drop off their food scraps. We're also doing this in 10 municipal buildings, including this one. And so the buildings have those small tubs, and they also have a green tote, which gets collected. Folks need to register for it, which is done for a few reasons. One, so that I can communicate at any time with all the users. And because I can't just have these unlocked systems all around, or people will put contamination in them. The reason we're doing this, although it is not mandated by the state, it is significant cost savings for us, in addition to the actual sustainability aspect and greenhouse gas emission savings. Right now, for every ton of trash that we send over to Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency right now, it's $110 a ton. It gets shipped to Seneca Meadows landfill, which is in the center of New York State. It's gone. And for every ton of food waste that we deliver, it's $20 a ton. It's a $90 savings per ton, and the food is getting processed 5 miles away from here at Okra. It gets turned into compost and sent back. We started registration on the 15th of May. We started actually doing it on Monday, and tomorrow's the first pickup day. We projected 250 people. I'm at 575 already, which might not seem like a lot, but it's currently 3% of our population. As a reference, I was on the phone today with the folks from Tompkins County. They do something similar, and they said, "Oh, we've got 3,000 people doing it." And I was like, "Oh man!" But then I looked at the population of Tompkins County. They're also serving 3% of their entire county. So the more it builds, the more cost effective it is for us. We got the totes for free. You know, I've got the sheds at a really easy, low rate. All the documentation and all the materials I've had to provide for outreach has come from UPRO, which we've had for free. So the actual investment has been generally pretty low. And should people actually proceed with doing this, the return on investment will be great. This is all phase one. I am applying on June 28th to fund phases 2 and 3, which might end up being just phase 2, which would be collecting from all commercial businesses, voluntary free, and collecting from all residents at their home, voluntary free, which would be giving them a small container, not one of the humongous things we already have, a small container. People would volunteer to participate, they would register, and our DPW would go around and pick it up. We're going to do this phase 1 for a while to see what the return is, see how it goes, and see if it's successful or not before we go to that. Either way, I'm applying for funding to fund that because we need to buy more packers, more people, more totes, all these other things, big investment.
Yeah, so after the compost, after the totes are full and everything, isn't that we're getting that compost back to use?
We are not.
Oh,
So we bring it to UPRA. So just like right now we bring all of our trash and all of our recycling to Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency with our own sanitation system with our packers. On Fridays, so right now we do sanitation collection on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fridays is their free day when they would normally go out and like get yard waste or metal or whatever the random stuff is. So they're adding this in with an existing packer. They're going to go around to these 18 sites, the 11 community sites and the 10 municipal sites. They're going to collect all the food and they're going to bring that to UPRA. And we're going to get weighed. It will get weighed and then we'll get charged $20 a ton versus $110 a ton. We do not get any compost return. There are other models in other communities where folks who register get things back. This is not the model that we have. The other thing is there's no financial incentive whatsoever to residents to do this. In other communities where they're like paying by the pound or going to a transfer station, there's an incentive for them to do it, to divert. In our community, people are just doing it out of the good of their heart.
Yeah.
And they're putting dirty food in their car. Like the whole thing, the fact that this is happening to me is amazing. But everyone is saying, when are we gonna get it curbside? So we'll see how it goes. Refrigerants is a grant that we got from DEC. It is a 5-component program that involves, one is understanding what refrigerants we have. Refrigerants are a cooling system that is used in vehicles and in air conditioning. So inventorying what they are. Let me step back to why this is important. The evacuation of refrigerants and the exposure of refrigerants into the atmosphere are one of the largest, if not the largest, greenhouse gas emissions source just worldwide. And so whatever we can do to manage those locally is important. So whatever refrigerants that we're using, changing our policies and procedures on how we're processing them, creating a refrigerants management plan, and doing an amnesty day for the community. So right now, if somebody wants to dispose of an air conditioner or a dehumidifier, dehumidifier or a refrigerator, they have to pay us to take it because we have to pay to get their refrigerants evacuated professionally. what we have seen are people dumping. So they're taking their air conditioners and they're going up First Avenue and they're just going, "Phew, I don't want to pay $35, I'm just gonna dump it somewhere." So this grant includes an amnesty day or week or month or whatever, where people can give them to us for no cost.
Yeah, on top of that, during Earth Day, or Earth Fair, we also offer that.
Yes, we offer during a fair, this year we collected 18 units, which is great. Last year we collected 12, so it's growing. Right now, I'm waiting on the contract from the state on that one. It's taking them a while, just to be dry and feet, but that'll be for the next couple of years. Solarize, I am putting solar at, it was gonna be 4, it is now 3 locations this year, in theory. The roof of the pool, the roof of the Roundup Center, and as big of an array as possible on the ground at the Wilbur Avenue complex, which is the DPW complex on Wilbur Avenue across from Mountain Road, whatever it's called. We were also going to put some at Kingston Point, but that became a little bit more complicated. So I am working with NYPA again on this one, New York Power Authority. They're going to design it and build it out. And I have established a fund already through a capital project for this. And so in theory, it should be pretty turnkey once we do it. And then what will happen is, since some of those sites don't actually have a lot of demand, so for instance, at Wilbur Avenue complex, there's like a little bitty building with a couple guys going there for lunch, right? But we will have all of that power that will be net metered out to our other accounts. So basically covering as much as we can from solar. The ZEV is the zero emission vehicle. Those are the EV charging stations. So building safety is, I got a grant, they're getting another one this year. They actually are our department with the most electric vehicles, so getting more places to plug in. I already have the equipment, it's gonna get installed this fall. Forsyth, I got the word today, is installed and done. It's ready, I'm gonna go plug in today. So I just now have to do the closeout reporting. Prince Street, which is over here, the Monkey Joe's lot, that is done. I just have to do the closeout reporting. Block Park and North Front Street, along with building safety, those are 2 other locations that are gonna get installed this fall. I have the equipment, but the actual installation needs to happen. And those are all called level 2 charging stations. So for anyone who plugs in, if they were to plug in for a long time, it would take them 6 to 8 hours to charge their car. We also, and so those cost approximately $15,000 total. And our electrician does the installation, DPW does the trenching. The whole process takes like 3 days if they didn't draw it out. We also got funding, a substantial amount more, not 15,000, we got 250K from DEC to put in what's called a DC fast charger. That means you plug in and then like 45 minutes your car is charged. It is substantially different. It's going to be substantially different on our end for managing it, but we got enough funding to put in 2 of these, and I think at this point we're probably going to, well, the grant says we're going to put them in at the visitor center downtown. However, if I can finagle it, I would love to put one in at Dietz and one in downtown, because we don't currently have anything going in at Dietz. And I think we would be remiss if we did this ridiculously huge project at Dietz Stadium and didn't put an EV charging station in there. And it's so close to the thruway, it would be very convenient. So either way, this will be a new concept for me, because we've never done DC fast chargers, but I am in contract development with the state. So we still have a white ways to go on that.
Is there a fee?
There is a fee.
That's what I was gonna ask, yeah.
There's a fee, and the fee would be likely different for the DC fast chargers versus the level 2s. The level 2s right now, for all the grants that we've had, we've already put in 14 sites. And then we have these additional ones. Up until this year, up until March of this year, they've been free because I've had grant funding. We have changed our model because the grant funding has run out, and also we're trying to keep up with the county, plus John Tilley wants to see more revenue. So the current model is the first 2 hours are free, and after that it's 50 cents an hour. It's not a whole lot of money, but it's at least something. The county actually does the first 2 hours are free, and then it's $1 after that. So with the DC fast charger, this will actually be the first, my understanding, the first public one in the city. I don't think the county has any. I don't know what the fee structure would be. It's gonna be entirely tied to what we have to pay for the power. So right now, the current fee structure that we have in the others covers generally like what we need to cover. But I think these DC fast chargers is gonna be like a huge upgrade to our electrical system. I think it's gonna just be a big draw. There's a lot I need to learn about, so. But yes, there will be a fee.
Excuse me, Foresight is there now?
Yep.
Where is it?
So if you go in through Dietz at the lower lot by the zoo,
Okay, okay.
yep, it's like, it's on spots like 3 and 4.
Okay, and
It's
then,
brand spanking it.
and then
Like today,
Prince is
right?
Like
there.
today,
Yes,
and
and
Prince
Prince
is
is down.
Today, no.
yes, Prince
There's
is.
two at Prince, right?
There's one baller with 2 plugs, and that's the same
Oh, yeah.
at any location, 1 baller but 2 tubes. So the Prince Street one is at the, not on the Broadway side, on the Prince Street end
Oh,
of the Monkey Joe's lot.
okay. Oh,
And that
all
one
right.
has been there for a couple of months now.
Okay.
It's actually live now, but the Forsyth one is literally live today.
Okay.
Today is the day they went live. And then the last one is EDGA, that's what funds our environmental education, funding Casey's salary, some of Ellie's salary, some of my salary. This is what allows us to work with the school district, and we are in negotiations right as we speak to actually have a more direct relationship with the school district, where we'll be tying in our programming directly with their curriculum, and they will be giving us compensation, which they have never done before in the life of our ZBGA. In the life of our environmental ed programming, they have never compensated us. Now they're interested in doing that. So we are pursuing that, including them compensating us for busing and programming itself. And then I breathe.
Really?
One day, yeah.
So this is like a week's work.
Yes.
No, that sounds like a tremendous amount of work.
I try to go through fast, I try to.
Well, no, and
Sorry.
you did go through it very fast, but, you know, and I'm glad you did, because it's a lot of information and, you know, it's a tremendous amount of work, and I think that, I mean, I know you do a tremendous amount of work, but I don't know exactly what it is. I see, and other people listening and watching and see.
Nice to know also to be able to get support if needed to.
Great, so, and I didn't want, if you have any questions about any of this, or anyone asks you if you want more information, certainly Lindsay here, I can.
This is not on the sheet, but if you mentioned Pete's, that's still that project.
So Deeds is being managed by Jack.
Yeah.
I will just give an update that today, so they did get approvals as of last night through the Common Council for $7 million more, which is the amount that they need to proceed. And so I know the mayor signed off today on the notice of award, which means, and Jack is jumping up and down in the office because it needs progress. And so the notice of award means that he can now enter into contract. And once the contracts are finalized, which should be anytime, because they're all written up already, they'll give a notice to proceed, and he expects to see boots on the ground in August.
Question.
Yeah.
Not, well, connected, but not. The electric vehicle batteries.
Yep.
Are they a concern or an issue, or, I hear things, I
Yeah.
don't know things, yeah.
I mean, they haven't been a concern to us thus far, so what I haven't put on here, I mean, there are other things that I work on that aren't on here, but I also work on transition with Elliot, we're on transition the city fleet. So right now, all of our sedans are transitioned to electric vehicles, including one that we have in our department. And we're working with so medium duty and not heavy duty vehicles like yet. The only sedans we haven't transitioned over are the police vehicles, because they are literally on the road 24 hours a day. So somebody gets out of the car, somebody else gets into the same exact car. So in order for us to transition those, we would have to actually add additional vehicles so that they would have to switch back and forth. We haven't justified that yet. What we have found in this transition is that, unfortunately, and I am going to be advocating for this for next year's budget. Sorry. We don't have mechanics currently that are trained to be managing, to be fixing electric vehicles. So if something happens with it, whether it's like a light goes out or whatever happens with the system, I mean, it's not a transmission, but like whatever happens at all, we have to bring it to the dealership. And that means at that time, the vehicle is now out of commission, and the other person who's supposed to be driving the vehicle is either not, or using their own, or shifting around other vehicles, whatever it is. So, but we haven't had any issues with batteries yet. And just anecdotally, I've owned electric vehicles in my entire adulthood, of when I've been driving, and I've never had an issue with battery. That to be said, there are people that have issues with batteries. Long story short, we haven't had any locally, so I can't really speak to it.
Anybody else have any questions for Julie?
Yes, I discussed it before, but the garden by
Community gardens, yeah.
yeah, we have, somebody planted seeds and mattress came on. That's just a joke.
I was like,
There's a national garden. There's a national garden.
you're talking about the one around American.
Yes, that's the one. Charge of that. Okay.
So I'm gonna start this conversation with, I'm not in charge of it.
Yeah.
I will say,
Yes, yes.
I actually am gonna defer to Lindsay on this one.
Yeah, it's not in our department, so like, there's an outside group that serves as the steward to that. I think I can send you some
Yeah.
information, so that's not Julie's area, but.
That's not good. Okay.
It's not.
Welcome.
If I had more hours in the day, I would definitely be doing that, but I think that that is something that a community member and community members should be champions of and should take ownership of. We did put a compost collection location there, and the garden steward reached out, they were concerned, and I said, you don't have to worry about it, if it's outside of your space, you don't have to touch it, you don't have to do it, like, I got it, but. And I do know that we have heard recently from Kingston Housing Authority folks, I mean, we were there, that there's concern. But as Lindsay said, this is definitely not on me, and I don't think it's even on our
That's
department.
not good. Okay, so I'll get that right. Who I need to talk to again. All right.
Well, Julie, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm sure you guys all can see how much Julie does, and you all know her work and years of experience speaks for itself, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind, I'm not gonna stay, is that all right?
Yes, fine. Go eat dinner, go bring.
No, thank you very much for all you do.
Sure you want to say?
Bye, Julie. Thank you.
Alright, so that concludes that. I will now turn it over
Yes,
to
that's He held it down for you, don't worry. Pretty good.
Sorry, I got a fucking what's up there. So department and program.
Or we actually have to go back to
Take it to the Excel
this.
street.
We have to go back to the.
Oh, you move right to this. Okay. Yes, we have to vote on the Willow Street, Blue Parkland, recommendation. In lieu of Parkland recommendation.
So my understanding of this is that this is it exists in, there's 4 apartments.
4 existing apartments,
Four
that being
existing
renovated.
Renovated.
Yep,
And
That
then
are
one
being
and
renovated,
one
and they're gonna
addition.
add an additional one.
Correct.
And it would be an exemption waiver for the original 4.
Mhm.
And the fee would be for the 5th, the new additional one,
Correct.
which would be 3.
The max that you can assess is 3,000, correct?
Now, is there any partials? I know initially we didn't have the ability or something to.
I mean, there's nothing saying you can't
Can't.
charge, yeah, it's really at the discretion, and again, this is a recommendation. The folks that actually make the determination are the planning board.
Right. So,
And if anyone, the drawings are here, I mean, I have one copy, I don't know if anybody wants to see it, there's,
it's a city lot, right?
It's
Basically like a city lot backyard.
here and the backyard.
and the message I got from the planning department is that the applicant is requesting a waiver of the payment in lieu of parkland based on the size of the backyard available to the residents.
And it's outlined in red.
In the right square, yes, yep,
The addition, there's gonna be addition.
one additional
One additional.
apartment, yep. I think that one, yeah, looks like it.
But there's nothing, there's a yard.
That photo that you see there, that is all I have been informed of in terms of.
It's just a yard.
It's a yard and it's not available to the public necessarily.
Right, just to the residents.
Correct, it's private property.
Right.
And I don't believe there's any mention of it being open to residents of the community.
Or there's no plan for the backyard either.
Well, correct, I don't see anything that says it's being turned into a
Right.
playground, and I don't know if the drawings even have it, I'm not
No, it
sure.
just has the picture just has the.
Yeah, but
And they're a block away from everything else that's going on, you know, Gallo Park and,
Right.
you know, the.
Yeah, this
Kingston
one's-
Park.
Like,
So they're
they're
asking,
asking for the fee to be waived,
because they're gonna be.
because they don't have a backyard, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything here
So
looks
it's just one unit that they,
Yeah.
one unit that they would be
So these are just the drawings for the actual apartments.
Sounds great.
What?
Do you want to bring it to us?
To vote. Yeah.
What?
You leave?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's what we got. We're gonna go and vote. And I was this.
You got new fresh cuts.
Yeah.
Oh, on this?
Yes.
Like, no, right? We're not,
Not waiving,
yeah, we're not leaving the big,
Well, we have
Have a
to
good
discuss it, yeah.
right.
I vote to not waive the city council.
Not the way, there's I see no reason
Yeah.
to do it, to waive the fee.
We,
I think we should assess the fee. Yeah, no,
That's-
no, it's gonna be. Yeah. Do not waive the fee.
right.
Say, you know.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Of not waiving the fee.
Yeah. All opposed? So we are unanimous vote, not waiving the fee.
Right.
Alright, so we wanna go to
We didn't, Lindsay.
Yes, I have, with everything going on, my only real update is the Children's Day Parade and summer camp. I just want to kind of give you guys an overview of how things have been going. As you know, tomorrow is the Children's Day Parade, it's rain or shine, unless of course there's thunder or lightning at the start of the parade, so.
What time?
6 o'clock. So if you, I don't know who's planning on coming or marching, you guys can arrive at 5:30, and, at the town center. And, yeah, the theme is out of this world. Not saying you guys have to come dressed as solar system, but, you know, when you do come, there's that option.
Nothing more.
Yeah. The kids are super excited, they're working on their floats.
As a solo.
Yeah, so we're excited, we got quite a bit of participants, and I think it's gonna be a good day. Once the kids get into the plaza, they're gonna be dropped off at the baseball field. We have a DJ that's gonna be there, we have food that's gonna be served by the fire department. Food was gifted to us by Hannaford, which was very generous. Some water as well. Vinnie Water is also providing some water for the kids to have while they're walking and on floats. We picked up some candy so they could throw out to the crowd. The plaza folks have provided giveaways for all the kids, not just summer camp participants, so all the kids in the parade. So they're gonna have the fire department hand them out, the union members hand those out as well. So there's, you know, the kids all definitely leave with something, which I think is very generous. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I know Andrea and I were talking about some options for next year. I think those are some great ideas that if we get a jump on, we can definitely make that happen. Summer camp in general is going really well. We've had, the first week was very rough with
I was just gonna say
rain,
that.
the 3 days of rain and then the air quality. That was awful. And I know you guys are all very supportive. I just hope people understand that these things are obviously beyond our control, and we're always gonna take the safest option first. And we always, try to follow, the direction of state. They're telling us it's unsafe, we're gonna exercise caution. And so the kids were, 3 of the parks were at the Midtown Center. We had, Hasbrook and Junior Naturalist ended up being at Ronald Center. Read and Write is also there, so we felt that with the smaller groups that they'd be able to be at that location, okay? And so it wasn't ideal, but our staff worked really hard to make it work, kept everybody safe, made sure the kids were entertained all day, which is really hard when you're in one space. And kids are energetic and they want to know what's next, and I just really want to publicly commend my staff, because that's, they really took some lemons and made some lemonade out of it, so I'm just grateful for them.
I have to say that it's still going on though. The weather has been unbelievable. My grandchildren go and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard.
Definitely.
They do go to the pool once a week. So that's really, really good. But it's been, like today was hot, so they're trying.
Yeah.
But we're, and the kids are trying.
Yeah, right, and we understand that the kids, we have to be patient with them the same way we want them to be patient with us. We're all just trying to, it was just a rough start, it's, but we're getting there. So now that we are nearing the end of week 3, I think that we've gotten some momentum. We have some good programs coming up. Our staff have been trying to be creative with some outside groups who are going to come in and do some different programming, just to kind of, give kids some different options, and just break up the day a little bit. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Yep. Yes.
Swimming class tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be thundering and lightning. At what point do you know?
I believe that our aquatics director posted on Facebook, as soon as possible. I think she tries to wait until the day of, just, as we see it changes very, very quickly. But yeah, she's pretty good about making sure that it's posted on social media.
I think, yeah, no, I know that there was rain and I know that they were talking about air quality again, so I was just.
Yes, I haven't gotten anything about air quality or any, updates or a heads up about it, so that wasn't on, but I see it on the web app, so, generally, right now we're at moderate. If it starts to creep up a little bit, the mayor and I usually will have a conversation about what the next steps are. We are making up those 2 classes though that were lost, that's usually with weather we don't, but I mean, with something like that, it's, especially in the first week, we wanted to make sure that we could extend it a little bit, so. Yeah, so that's all I got right now. Our life so far has really been summer camp, and we haven't really gotten to dive into fall programming just yet, but I suspect we'll be going through that in the next couple of weeks. And so I know we don't have a meeting next month, but I will send you guys emails with any updates, anything that's coming up that I think you all want to know. Our next movie is July 28th at Kingston Point Park. It will be Jaws. It is not at the beach. We are not allowed to say that. It is not at the beach. It won't be set up on the beach. It is going to be set up on the soccer field. If there is extreme winds, because I do know sometimes we have that issue, we will likely relocate to the other side of the street.
Questions for the Children's Day parade.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything at the end of the parade? We used to do,
Yeah, they're doing hot dogs.
but we're not doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the fire department does.
Yeah, the union members hang them out and, yeah.
Right, and there's a band.
Yeah, we used to have gift bags, desserts, stuff like that.
Well, we used to hand out hot dogs.
Right.
Oh, did the,
So we don't have to do.
Well, we help.
Oh, okay.
Help if they needed help.
well, I mean, honestly, the giveaways would, if anyone does want to help with that, because I don't know how many firefighters will be there, but I'm thinking because of how many gift bags they're giving away, we could certainly use extra set of hands. So if anybody was interested, that would definitely be appreciated.
And then for the parade itself, all of the registered organizations and camps are marching.
Mhm.
How, are kids, neighborhood kids allowed to go on the parade? Or is it be part of it?
I mean, normally, if anyone is not registered with a float, they'll usually want to be lined up and get their candy and stuff. I mean, we don't really have a float to place kids with, because I wouldn't really know how to do that, to be honest. If someone's little brother wanted to march with the summer camp, I mean, that might be different, if their parent gave us permission, but.
I'm sure you see people joining in, like while they're.
Sometimes bicycles and things like that.
Oh, maybe, what you mean, put something like.
Yeah, but not-
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to really
Yeah.
enforce, I mean, it's,
Can't say.
No,
It's pretty much just for
8 kids, 10
recreation.
kids can run.
and whoever registered, it's, I mean, you could have been like, I want to register my family, and we'll, it's fine.
Yes, I
If
would
you have
support it.
a vehicle and you wanted to act like your business,
Oh.
you could put your business in there, there's no charge or anything, so, yeah, we want people to join in. Free advertisement.
Sure.
Are we
Make sure you.
Are we all looking at it tomorrow?
I'm not here.
Oh, you're out, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's,
All right.
Travis.
You as well.
you're out, okay.
Sorry, I'm
No, that's-
usually here. I'm usually the hot dog queen with the firemen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just said, will we be able to get like, I don't know if I'm a person, but, are you?
What, okay.
Just.
Oh, I understand.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm saying to, if we able to get like a, it's just Christmas and stuff. I can do it, yeah.
Alrighty, are you gonna
I'm
go
saying,
next?
that's what I'm saying, if we can have a truck, like, I wouldn't mind doing it, but I could.
You could probably just sit on the floor.
I was saying, we could put you in, you can buy with, Jimmy Flocko, put you in. AC and everything.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
You should.
no, we'll make sure, you don't want, if you wanna wave, do your princess wave from the window, we'll make sure you're accommodating. We won't, yeah. We might actually need it, yeah, we'll.
You can drive the.
I walk like I did by myself last year.
Oh, my.
Oh,
You can
well,
drive,
everyone's asking who.
you can drive one of the plow trucks.
Sit on the floor.
No, seriously, we'll make sure.
Jason, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, be there, just.
Okay.
And
You're
then
welcome.
a couple more-
Yeah, green one.
a couple more things, so one we could probably put on is to schedule a camp visit.
Yes.
We'll put that we do, and I'll just email about that.
Yeah, whatever date, let me know, because then we gotta, I gotta get
Sometimes when we.
our staff to go and pick up the just pops, yeah, and everything, yeah, so you just, whatever,
Why not?
Mondays and Tuesdays are pool days, so really, and then Wednesday, I think, is when bike club is, but that, it varies by park, so.
Okay.
If you're gonna pick a day.
Yeah, you know, we did it before,
Yes.
just to, and it could even work out that it might be like even on the last day or whenever they have the cookout or
Right,
something like that, we could always just make it work for everybody's schedules.
yeah, sure.
Okay, when's the last day of camp?
Last day camp's the 11th,
Which is a,
Friday.
okay.
August 11th?
August 11th, or maybe sometime, maybe, I wouldn't necessarily do it the last day, just because
Because sometimes people don't.
they don't show up, and it's, the last week is a little dicey, and I know we go to Wooden Wheels.
I was just gonna say that, I saw that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can be posted on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put on that, email.
And whenever you, whatever works for everyone, I'll make sure Chris knows, so that way we, don't have any other visitors come in that day and take pictures.
Yeah, and that's kind of maybe
I'll
just
get
like
the
a
whole few
half hour.
bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
The difference, we split up.
Yeah, there was like two
Give them
in each
5
park,
hours,
right?
Okay,
$5,
okay.
so we'll get the other half.
And then the other thing was some things that I talked to from like in high school. So they just mentioned about, of course, as we talked about before, bathrooms by the playground, which is
Yeah.
something that could hopefully eventually happen. But you also blocks some mentioned blocks.
Okay,
Getting running water was suggested by some parents, like as, to be able to have available at the park. I don't know if that could be in the form of a.
We used to have water fountains.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one outside of,
I don't know when was
That's
that.
cool.
It's like against the water bath, I remember that, yeah.
and
Kind
then,
of,
Yeah, those,
and
two
Hutton,
fountains
I
or
thought Hutton had something too.
Down at the bottom.
something. It was on, outside.
I don't.
The days of those drinking out of the holes or.
I saw something when they first opened up the Cedar State Park, they had one of these, some type of like portable faucets outside where you would, I think you had to step on it or something and then the water would come out. Yeah, but it,
That's cool.
yeah, it was water and.
Yeah, bathrooms
And
and water was
water.
like the thing that everybody kept mentioning, bathroom, so I know like it's a whole process, but even if you could have like a porta potty, just something, because especially at the block, they're so far away from the pavilion and, Hutton Hasbrook and stuff, especially if the people are down, the building doesn't have access to the
Yeah,
bathrooms,
no,
so
true.
at the lower part, and that's where the playground is. And then the other thing that they mentioned was cutting the brush back on the hill of Hasbrook Park, just because it's hard to see, so for safety and visibility. And then, I was at Block Park recently, and some people that were trying to come around to the pavilion, they kept driving by, and I just was wondering about maybe getting a sign. I know that entrance is private land, I think,
What, coming to the pavilion?
but if we could have like a sign or something, just so people know where to turn, but people kept
Oh,
driving, there was an event and everything, like,
I see.
how do I get in? And I was like, maybe we could put a sign there.
Yeah, that's.
So it is private, right?
Well, if you go straight, you're saying.
That's what I thought before, we were
Just
talking
turn
about
Yeah.
that entrance part, we didn't
Yeah.
own that entrance at the.
No, I think leading in, I think if you take a left, like, yeah, maybe the road itself, I don't know, but we could put a sign at least on the part that is our property,
You guys-
showing, take a left.
to that.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, because there's a parking area back there as well, right?
Yeah, there's a small parking lot right next to the pavilion.
So that is,
And
that's
there's
a
a little road to go around, if you're coming off of that road, it kind of dips down, and you can go around. And it was newly paved, it's nice.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely have our guys put up a sign there though.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything? All hearts and
Someone
minds
suggested-
clear?
Not yet, we ain't in the mood, we ain't in the mood yet, the meeting yet, but I do have, something for you from, somebody came up to me, asking, pretending how this might be something he might be interested also, about having like, using the boxing ring at the, what's the rules about using a boxing ring?
Like if if someone wanted to have an event, they have to rent the building and, yeah, they could do a facility rental form.
So what they want to do is like start a small program to train kids.
So we have,
Well, we were, yeah,
Do you have that now?
yeah,
well,
well,
we're working on
we've
it,
had
yeah.
it and we're reinstituting.
All right, so I'll hook this individual
Yeah.
with Al.
Okay.
I'll give you his number, he wants to do stuff with kids and.
Yeah, so we're working with someone that, that has sent his qualifications, we're trying to see if it'll work out and he may be the person that will be running our new program.
Now, what about if somebody like a walk-in?
Mm.
So like walk-in is like just use a speed bag.
With the, yes and no, with the gym, when the gym's open, it's a USA Boxing gym, so they have to register with USA Boxing, they get the insurance, that comes with being a registered gym. The city wants them to have that. I mean, there's a city insurance too, but this is a boxing specific coverage. And then people who use the gym, sign a liability waiver, but doesn't really weigh much.
So say if I want to use it, and what do I have to do? It's not gonna be me, but.
Right, you would come to the gym, you would talk to whoever the coach is at the gym, and arrange it with them, because they're running the gym, so it would. If you became part of the gym, you would be part of the gym and you would come in and use it just like everybody else in the gym.
But I don't think, if I'm being honest, I don't think that's how we're gonna be running it in the future. It's gonna be much more structured and the program will be a guided program. I don't know that we are permitted to just have it be open hours.
No.
If it's during work hours necessarily, if there's supervision, there might be some opportunities for that. But similarly with like our basketball court, we don't just allow people to come in and play basketball.
Right,
We
they
have
didn't-
other programs and things happening.
and the boxing never did it, and it was open in the evenings from 5 to 7:30 or something. And so during that time, a person could come in and register to be part of the club, part of the boxing group. And then they could, under the guidance of whoever the coach is, use the bags or, hit mitts or whatever it is. I mean, if you have alcohol on it, it's probably that's for whatever.
But we are accepting resumes, so if someone is interested in being a coach, I mean, Al, I know has a little bit more experience in what licenses you have to get and stuff, but if someone is interested, please have them send their resume.
All right. so,
Yeah, because we haven't made any
It's
decisions.
coming to you?
Yes,
Okay, all right, good, perfect. Great. All right, so we have more business now? Yeah.
there's nothing on there, but everybody.
All right, next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 14th, 5:00 p.m.
Now, remember, this is the new
after
date because of.
Labor Day.
Yeah, so we have it later, because the week before, I think it's before a wedding.
Like
Labor
now,
Day.
like today.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Now we can say it's all hearts, minds are clear.
I look forward to this
Yes.
part. I'm just waiting to see, is someone gonna really, like, no, I got beef with Nancy, it's not gonna hash this out. I'm just waiting for the day.
Well, I do have something to
No.
say before the hearts, minds. Lizzie, what's going on with basketball?
Meeting adjourned.
No.
Oh, over 50 league, I told you, we're working on it for the fall, we gotta get through, summer is very intense, we gotta get our.
I'm just gonna
We
say.
don't have any staff to run this right now, I promise you, if I had another set of hands, we would make sure you get straight. Yeah, Julie's got room there.
Yeah, she seems pretty free. She can run the 15 over that.
Yes, we are, but it has been part of our discussions.
It's tougher, yeah.
Yeah, we are working on it.
I'm
Similarly, I want to
sure.
talk to you about the youth volleyball, so that's something else. Okay, yeah, so those are the two items that our staff have been discussing for the fall.
Now that we're not talking about basketball, I guess all hearts and minds are clear.
Clear now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I read it so.
All right. You
Make
made
a
it clear.
motion to adjourn meeting.
Nice, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great. Sir, how you doing?
Good, yeah.